So I do not know how familiar you are with the Buddhist teaching. You need to understand the Buddha's teaching in the context of two major features. The two major features are Buddha has always been emphasizing the need to have a harmonious development of, I call it, head and heart. The Buddha used the word compassion and wisdom. And to make it easy to understand, I call it combination of head and heart. Dil or dimag ka santulan. ठीक है ना? So that is not only the crux of the teaching of the Buddha, but I personally really see it extremely important. Because even if you have wisdom, meaning even if you have a lot of knowledge, including academic knowledge and expertise and so forth, but if you don't have that compassionate heart, the sense of responsibility towards people in general, and especially people who are suffering, then the education, knowledge you have, it's really unsure where it will take. You see, in Tibetan Buddhism, we give an example of Puchung Tagu Likyomba. That means making a small kid ride on a wild horse. If you make a small innocent kid ride on a wild horse, the small kid will not be able to handle it. You see? So there will be casualty. Or in today's time, we can say it's like putting a small kid on the seat of, driver's seat of a rocket. It will be disaster. So if you have knowledge, expertise, but no feeling for other people, no concern for the goodness of everybody. And in fact, it is because of this shortage, in many forms, in many ways we are suffering today. Mainly not so much about lack of knowledge. Knowledge, we have a lot kind of knowledge. I don't know what kind of knowledge, but we have a lot of that. But the good heart, concern for other people's well-being, which is actually for yourself, that is not there. So the two must be developed. Wisdom, meaning knowledge in general, and especially understanding the ultimate reality of law of nature. So in that sense, we can relate that to any field of knowledge, especially science, which explores as much as possible, although it is only in the physical world, but at least it is exploring to see the subtlest reality. So in Buddhism, that reality basically means interdependent origination, interconnected reality. And once you understand that interconnected reality, you will be able to very clearly see how closely you are connected with other people, with the environment, with other animals, with the whole cosmology. And it is interesting to see that even this English word, individual, comes with the meaning that you are just an indivisible part of the whole. We even forget that meaning, you see, that simple meaning. So normally when we are a little bit well off, because of education, because of some expertise, we forget that we are part of the bigger whole. And we think just about ourselves and forget the rest. And then we suffer, you see. If the bigger part is suffering, you will naturally suffer. So therefore, compassion or loving kindness, supported by wisdom that sees the reality. And if, in fact, the more you are able to see the reality, the more you will develop loving kindness, compassion, and so forth. It will be almost like an automatic thing. So when we talk about reality, we are talking about shunyata, emptiness, which is difficult to understand, but which basically means interdependent reality in a very subtle sense. And once you see that interdependent origination, naturally you will feel sorry for other people. And through that understanding, you will know how fragile other people are, or everybody is, how transient, how impermanent. So there's no room for hurting each other, hating each other. And that's why the Buddhist teachers, they say you don't have to kill, they will die. And those of us, so-called leaders, what are we doing? we are making powerful destructive nuclear weapons to kill us many times over. How stupid, right? So that is wisdom uncontrolled by sense of responsibility, and that actually we can't call it wisdom, a superficial knowledge. If you have that wisdom, wisdom comes not just through knowledge but experience, right? So these two are the crux of the matter, right? Now, when we talk about developing that wisdom, understanding reality, this is so important because we all want happiness. And happiness also not for 1 day or 2 days, but for a long, long time to come. And I have asked this question to many people, asking, you want happiness? Everybody says, yes, sir. Then I ask the second question, saying, for how many days? They smile, just like you are smiling. So by smiling, they are saying, when it comes to happiness, we want happiness as long, as durable as possible, the best one. And that wish to have long-lasting happiness is not something we learn from any particular religion. It's also not something that is taught to you by parents or relatives. You are born like that. And in Buddhism we say this is good news. The fact that you are born crying, meaning that I want happiness, is good news, because that shows, provided if you take the steps, if you practice, it is possible to achieve that long-lasting happiness. So that is the most important thing. We want long-lasting happiness. Now it's not enough to demand that. Now you need to see, if I want long-lasting happiness, why I don't have one right now, or what is it that is obscuring that long-lasting happiness. Then we say the destructive negative emotions are obscuring those causes and conditions which will ensure and lead to long-lasting happiness. So therefore, we must uproot, or at least reduce the intensity of these negative emotions. If possible, uproot. Uproot means jar se fenkna. Because if you cut a little bit of the branches and fruits, it will again grow. So that's temporary. It's good. It's temporary, but temporary solution. So for long-term happiness, as we aspired, you need to uproot the root cause of all these afflictive emotions. And what is their root cause? So there is no dealing with your question. What is the root cause of that all those negative emotions? The root cause is misconception of reality. Reality is shunyata, emptiness. Reality is interdependent origination. But because of misconception of reality, we tend to see things as disparate, as not related to each other, as having independent, inherent existence. Now, because you are thinking, you are listening properly, if I ask you whether we are dependent on others or completely independent, we'll say we are dependent. But that's not how we deal with our life in our regular, unquestioning mind. We think if you fancy something, it's wonderful, 100% good from its own side. When you don't like somebody, he is the one, he is the wicked, he is the criminal, he is the enemy. There's no room for negotiation, no room for dialogue. He is completely outright negative, horrible. The only thing is kill him, eliminate him. So when we don't like something, we tend to see that as 100% negative, 100% horrible. When we like something, 100% beautiful. Wow, so good. That's how we get problem. But in reality, everything has an interconnected reality. Everything has so many different aspects. Right? So when you are able to see the complete picture, the many aspects of anything, then there will be less negative emotion. So therefore, root cause of suffering is seeing things as having inherent independent existence. Now please come with one example which you can say this is one which has independent inherent existence. I'm not asking from the Buddhist perspective, because in Buddhist perspective there is none. But from scientific perspective or any other worldly perspective, if you are able to come up with one, let me know. whether it's your emotion,
Death.
Net, dying. Dying happens due to causes and conditions. Nobody dies without any cause and condition. So it's dependent. Right? It's dependent. Either you die because of overeating, or you die because of less eating, or going to wrong place, whatever. There are 100,000 causes for death. So it is dependent on causes and conditions. So there's nothing that has absolute, independent, inherent existence from its own side. So we need to come to conclusion to this. And if you are able to develop some insight in this, your life will change. Obsession will slowly disappear. We get obsessed with things. When we fancy like something, I need, just like a small child, asking and crying for lollipop, Mommy, I need just this lollipop, nothing else will work, just this one, this is the best. We have that mentality, you see. And that's why we get problem. That's why we get problem. We see young men committing suicide because the girlfriend is not responding. Or girlfriend committing suicide, the young man is not responding. Because you tend to see, this is the one. Independently existing, independently beautiful. If I have this, my life will completely change. But our experience in today's scientific and technological world, our experience is, especially in the more developed countries, with this understanding, we keep on changing everything. My happiness will come from there. This one. Marry this wife. Doesn't work. Then you again think, oh, because this is problem with the wife, this lady didn't work. But I marry another one, that will work. So you tend to find an anchor, an object, which is inherently, independently good. But there's none like that. Therefore you have to keep on changing. You keep on changing your husband, keep on changing your wife, keep on changing your cars, keep on changing your 100,000 things, then at the end of the day, you don't get happiness. Because the change is to come from within, not from outside. Now from within means developing that perspective by which you are able to see the reality as it is, so that you don't get shocked when things change. So therefore I am basically talking about how to find happiness in a changing world. When everything is changing, how would you sustain yourself? And there is a possibility. One thing that doesn't change is change itself. If you understand that, you will work accordingly. Just like a great swimmer, according to the waves, you swim, you cross the ocean. Right? So what I'm really trying to see is, now you need to see, as I told you, the root cause of all the afflictive emotion is misconception of reality, which is seeing things as having independent, inherent existence. From there comes strong likes and dislikes. When you like something, you get obsessed with it, you develop strong attachment. When you don't like something, you want to reject it, you develop hatred, disliking. So hatred, attachment, these are some of the top destructive negative emotions which really affects our life. There are many different types of negative emotions, but these three, ignorance, which I said, misconception of reality, then attachment, and then hatred or anger, especially hatred. These three, we call it three poisons in Buddhism. They are like the army generals of the host of other negative emotions. You watch any movie to confirm that. Watch your life or watch any movie. Indian movie, American movie, any movie, the two predominant themes in that movie is either violence or sex. That's the depiction of our life. And these two, which represent attachment and hatred, comes from ignorance, lack of knowledge. और हम लोग सोचते हैं, we think that if these two are not there, strong, hatred and anger or attachment and sex, if it is not there, then we think life is dull, life is colorless. The movie nahi banega. Then you can't make a movie. Movie must have these things. That's not only what we show in the movie, but in our real life also. If you have this, then you have some job to do. Without this, you feel life has no charm. अरे क्या कर रहा है, अभी तक शादी नहीं किया, बोलते हैं ना वो लोग. Are you wasting your time? People are saying things like that, right? So anyway, now let me give you the definition or description of negative emotion. Negative emotion is that any emotion which when arises in your mind leaves you agitated, perturbed. That's called negative emotion, which agitates you, perturbs you, makes your mind turbulent. That's negative emotion. For example, we all have this experience. For example, anger. How many are here who would say that on such and such occasion I become very angry, so I really enjoyed the day? कोई है? नहीं है ना? There's really nobody. Nobody, right? That's very clear. When you get angry, blood pressure increases, you get headache, you are unable to say things properly, you are unable to even see things properly. Big problem. Even if you are lying on a very soft bed, still you will not get sleep, you will keep on changing your sides. We all have that experience. Attachment. When you develop attachment, especially excessive attachment, obsession, it destabilizes you. I want this. You see, if I'm standing like this, I'm stable. But when I obsess with something, when I develop attachment, you immediately move towards that object, lifting your feet. It destabilizes you. So one thing that I want to really share, although there are so many things to talk about, you do an experiment. As you mentioned that there are a lot of scientists and other academicians. You do an experiment with the positive emotions and negative emotions. Which one is better? Not from Buddhist perspective, but as as a secular thing. Negative emotions are narrow-minded. They don't have a solid foundation, solid reason. For example, when you develop hatred, how it is narrow-minded. When you develop hatred or anger with somebody, you tend to criticize only that person out of many causes and conditions which is normally there for any event. But you will pinpoint to just one. He is responsible. She is responsible. Because it's narrow-minded. You want just one target. And then with the ordinary attachment also, it's narrow-minded. In ordinary life, we make this big statement by saying, I love only you, no one else. Don't we say things like that? As if this is a big statement. The Buddhist teaching says, love everybody. And you are saying, I love only you, no one else. I mean, of course, in a different sense, but still, they're very narrow-minded. You see? So when you develop this kind of negative emotions, it makes your perspective narrow. You develop tunnel vision. Okay? Then even when small problems happen with that small, area, you tend to see it as if it is unsurmountable. सिर्फ मेरे ऊपर क्यों हो रहा है? बोलते हैं ना हम लोग. When you get a problem, you stand thinking, why me? Why me? The right question is, why not me? Right question is, why not me? Everybody gets problem, everybody gets sick. There are ups and downs in everybody's life. So when you get that problem, don't get shocked, don't get surprised. Why not me? We never say this. Instead we say, why me? Why God has done this to me? वो भी बोलते हैं हम लोग. ठीक है ना? So because you think just about yourself. Now it is scientifically found that people who make lot of self-references, I, me and mine, they are prone to all kind of illnesses, including heart attack. Because when you develop this very narrow-minded tunnel vision, it really strangles you, it really suffocates you. We all have that experience. When you develop like anger and other negative emotions, breathing भी problem हो जाता है, नहीं होता है? जब गुस्सा हो जाता है हम लोग बोलते हैं पिछले बार भी आपने ऐसे बोला, आज भी ऐसे बोला, you know, last time also you said this time also you said this. You can't breathe properly, you see. So when you develop any of these negative emotions like depression, anger, jealousy, hatred, you even get difficulty in breathing, you see. But when you develop loving kindness and compassion, think more about others, this does not mean to say that you are not suffering. You are suffering. But instead of focusing just on oneself, thinking I am the most unfortunate one, when you think about others, you know, I have some problem, but there are many more who are suffering much more than me. Then because of this mental perspective, it will have a liberating effect. So therefore, when you develop loving kindness and compassion, it opens the inner door. It really has a liberating effect on your body and on your mind. Then you get happiness. But that's not how we think. We think that happiness and peace will come from outside of you. From money, there will be happiness. From friendship, there will be happiness. From a nice climate, there will be long-lasting happiness. So we keep on searching that happiness in different directions. We never find one because you are searching in the wrong place. You are searching in the wrong place. I'm not saying you don't need these things, but these are small, minor contributing factors. But we are talking about long-lasting happiness, not fleeting pleasures. So what we are running after today is fleeting pleasures, not even happiness. Fleeting pleasures means pleasures that you get through enjoying the sensual objects. All these big shops and malls, they came up by seeing your weakness, that you are addicted to the sensual objects. Then say, चलो इसको बना लो, वो आ जाएगा, सब लोग आ जाएगा, सब लोग mall में आ जाएगा. They'll all come to the mall. Just produce all these things. They'll all come there, and you go there, and you get further entrapped. Right? So just by, I'm not saying don't enjoy those things, but if you see these sensual pleasures, these fleeting pleasures as source of your long-lasting happiness, then that is a misplaced hope. And look at today's education system itself. It's all tailored for short-term benefits, short-term quick push-button enlightenment, push-button success. Long-term koi nahi. Education today means literacy, which means reading, writing, mathematical calculation. There is no sense of human flourishment. The real education is human flourishment, which is so beautifully told by this Sanskrit word guru. Gu means ignorance, ru means remover. Remover means Guruji will only remove your hurdle, ignorance. Guruji is not going to inject his knowledge into you. You need to flourish. Guruji will only help you, but you just show your inner talent and work and flourish. Just like if you want to become rich and you come to me for a loan, I can give you a loan, but that not necessarily make you rich. Loan lekar bhi phir or you get more indebted, you see. So just giving, talking, teaching, without letting the child grow is just giving a loan. So that is modern system, you see. And people are produced just like the parts of computer, the Western system of education. If you see carefully, unfortunately, this is all technological, material development oriented. And they will make one computer which needs so many parts, and then 100,000 similar computers which needs 100,000 parts. And this computer will go any part of the world. And when that computer goes wrong, you need to send the same part anywhere, to Norway, to America, to Russia, anywhere, the same part. And in classes also, people are produced more or less something like that. Isko company ko chahiye, he has that. He's like a computer part. He has that education. Go there, fix there. Apna flourishment, the individual flourishment is not very much there. I may be wrong, but this is how I perceive. Right? So either we stop saying that I want long-lasting happiness, Or if you really want a long-lasting happiness, then that has to come from within oneself, not from outside. I'm not saying outside facilities are not necessary. I'm not saying friends are not necessary. Yes, they need. But I'm talking about long-lasting happiness. That can never come from external sources unless you walk it out. And that's why the Buddha repeatedly said, I've shown you the path to liberation. Liberation is up to you. And I'm your teacher, you have to act. Right? So therefore, what we need to realize is the real enemy for each of us is the negative emotion within us. It is not any human enemy outside. It's your own. And what is, by the way, what is the definition of enemy? Enemy is somebody who harms you, harms your relatives, harms your wealth, harms your name and fame, right? This negative emotions does not only that, but does it so effectively. We don't even notice that they are our enemy. When I talk about the negativeness of anger, jealousy, everybody says yes, yes. But when I myself get angry, then I will never say my anger is bad. Then I'll say my anger has some justification. That's the problem. That's the problem. But the end result is, as we have all experienced, when you get angry, nobody enjoys that. It only destroys you, it only harms you, it only makes your life miserable. So in this way, we need to see all these negative emotions, how destructive they are. If you really want long-lasting happiness, or even durable happiness, even more reliable happiness, if you want that, the moment you reduce the selfishness, thinking only about oneself, and if you reduce that misconception of reality, these two things, self-centeredness, thinking just about oneself, and misconception of reality, these two are the biggest hurdle for our achieving happiness. Now these negative emotions can be minimized by actually practicing, by seeing more and more the destructiveness of these negative emotions. The more and more you see the negativeness of these negative emotions, the more and more you will distance yourself from them. Then you will be happier and happier. Right? And if you don't do that, okay, you make a lot of money, you live in very nice shiny buildings, but still not be able to sleep properly. Right? That is not something that I'm just fabricating. It is happening right now in this world and with people who are highly, highly rich. So therefore the Buddha said, self is the protector of the self, no one else can be the protector. Self is the enemy of the self, no one else can be the enemy. When it comes to enemy, always our fingers are ready to pinpoint to somebody. As I said, what do you mean by enemy? Those who do destructive things to you, and how many times you did destructive things to yourself because of negative emotions. So therefore, many of the past Tibetan teachers, they say, I have only one job as a practitioner, and that only job is to fight with these negative emotions. And they personify these negative emotions by saying, even if the negative emotions are so strong that they throw me physically down and I'm under the weight of these negative emotions, there's nothing much I can do, only thing is just scratch. I'll do that scratching. Never ever I will submit to the dictates of negative emotions. So that kind of determination has to be there. Otherwise it will not go away like that. Because we are so strongly addicted. Habituated is my idle word, so I use the word addicted with all these negative emotions. I call them die-hard habits. They'll not go away like this unless you make some effort. Because we have this very ugly tendency, because of misconception, that anything that belongs to you is good. Baki sab jhoot hai, galat hai. You may be very stupid, but still you think I am the best. You see? That's why before proper scientific innovation, people used to believe Earth is the center of the universe. Not because they were able to clearly see Earth as center of the universe, but Earth is the one on which human beings live, and human beings are so important that therefore Earth has to be the center and the rest must go around it. That was the stupid idea, you see. Now it is proved, heliocentric, not geocentric, you see. This is just one small example of how much damage you can do by this kind of unenlightened, negative, egoistic way of seeing things, right? So, whatever religious practice you do, I think that will make sense to fight with the negative emotions, right? Although I know many scientists, or probably scientists, they say emotions are emotions, there's nothing positive, nothing negative. All emotions are necessary. So you have to think about this, whether how far this is true. But it really looks like gradually, the tight grip on this kind of statement, all emotions are necessary emotions, the tight gripping by science is now a little bit loosening. Because now, for example, when you talk about this dopamine and oxytocin, earlier it was dopamine, fight or flight response. Now oxytocin. No, dopamine is now not so good. Okay, don't talk much about it. Oxytocin, you love everybody, not with attachment is better. They are saying these things like that, you see. But we don't have to just relate to Buddhism or science. Just use your common sense. Which one is better? If you're really, really happy, and if you really think long-lasting happiness will come from negative emotions, go ahead. It's our right to do that, you see, but it doesn't look like that. Okay, so I spoke more than needed. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
some questions, please. Yeah. Whoa, ready to attack. Yeah.
My question is, I understand that negative emotions are very harmful.
Yeah.
I thoroughly understand and I want to get rid.
Yeah.
But the problem is I feel helpless when I try to witness the negative emotions. And my mind starts going into the loop again. So, how do I get over it when I'm putting an effort and I'm failing each time? Because I just can't bear that.
No, you need to number one, see, as I said, see the destructiveness of continuously indulging in that negative way of thinking. You should be able to clearly see the fact that you are not able to take strong stand and practices. There may be many reasons. One reason is that you are not able to clearly see its destructiveness. For example, if in front of you I open a packet of poison and then I put it in a glass right in front. Ye poison hai, dekh raha hai na? Are you seeing? This is poison, okay? So I'm putting it in a glass. Okay, please drink. He will not drink. Please drink. None of you will drink. Why? Because you are sure this is poison. It will kill me. Whereas with anger, jealousy, we don't have that conviction. It will not kill me. This will go. You see. That's the problem. So you really need to see. For example, take anger as an example, and see how destructive it is. Not as it is explained in the text, but in real life situation. The amount of killing that we are doing today in the world, probably at this very moment, in war zone countries and also in other peaceful countries, killings are happening. So all because of anger or other negative emotions. So you need to see this very clearly. Then you should also see how destructive it is for your health. Everybody wants good health. Good health will not come only by stretching, exercise, jogging. Some years back I was invited to an army camp, Tibetan army camp in Dehradun, that area. So they were like smartly dressed young Tibetans, with army uniform, hundreds of them there. Stupid me standing there, supposed to be giving a talk. But then before the talk, I asked some of the leaders, what is the state of ethics, behavior of these young people? Then I heard that many of them take drugs. फिर मुझे मौका मिल गया. Then I got the opportunity to speak. Then I said, अंदर से सर रहा है, बाहर से खींचने से कुछ नहीं होने वाला. Human beings are as stupid as that. You see, inside it's rotting, because you take drugs and, you get intoxicated and excessive drinking, things like that. And then outside the rock climbing, the stupidity is so obvious. And in our ordinary civil life also it is happening. Why? Because we are believer in things that we can only touch and see, feel and smell. That's why we run after sensual objects. And which are not the field of sensual objects, which we don't directly see, we tend to neglect it. ठीक है ना? And that is why we take care of our body at least. Wash several times, feed several times, then some jogging exercise, gym, so many things. When was the last time you gave a good food to the mind? Because the mind is the most important thing. But because it is an unseen force, we don't know how to take care of it. Even in the cases we get some glimpses of it, we don't take care of it. We don't know how to take care of it. That's the problem. So that's why I tell people, much of the problem that you see today in the world is a clear sign of starvation of the mind. सदियों से खाना नहीं खिलाया उसको. And not only that, even in terms of physical body, you see only the skin outside. Inside में क्या है? We hardly pay attention. And what is most fragile is hidden inside. ठीक है ना? In the modern system of packaging, anything that is very fragile, it's packed very nicely. Then on top of that package, they will write a letter saying, handle carefully, fragile. So we are packed exactly like that. Outside looks good, but inside all the fragile things, the lungs, the kidneys, the intestines, सब कुछ, most fragile things are inside. And we hardly think about it, and then throw everything in the mouth. चलेगा सब, डालो. वो नहीं चलता है. नहीं चलता है. For example, lungs, and there are small like passages. Even if one of the passages is blocked, then you have difficulty breathing. You see. That's the thing. So therefore, you need to have a precise knowledge of how harmful, not just to other people, to yourself, not in future lives. Okay, in Buddhism we talk about many future lives. That's different. In this very life, you don't need to follow just the Buddhist teaching. Read some of the scientific findings. How good or bad anger is. अभी लिखा है बहुत. Even in terms of money. I was reading a book published in America where they said because of anger, billions of dollars are lost in a year because of anger. Meaning killing each other, road rash, accident, billions I'm saying. So a country which engages in strong, negative emotions cannot flourish. Cannot succeed. In our own country, India, like many, there's not exception, other countries also, when people engage in corruption, कमर तोड़ के रख देते हैं. All this is all because of negative emotion. Right? So you need to see that more precisely, how bad it is for you. And then even after knowing that you want to do it, then it's almost like committing suicide. जानबूझकर छलांग मारना तीसरी मंजिल से. Yes.
You said that the main problem is starvation of mind.
Yeah.
So how do you feed your mind? How do you what are the tools? Like that
I told you, I give you the tools, compassion and wisdom. Similarly, non-attachment, contentment, loving kindness, all those positive emotions.
So if you say that you don't get attached, so
Yeah.
for example, someone near to us, dies, so you do not feel
Exactly. This is a good question. So attachment is not a solution. Having no attachment does not mean you should not look after. This is how people misunderstand. People think if I do not have attachment to my wife or husband, I cannot love her. No. When you have attachment, you think you have lot of love, but that is blind love. That is business love. That's why you get divorced. When you have that attachment, blind love, then you say, basically you are saying, I love you so long as you love me. The moment that person acts a little bit differently, you change your love, and then gradually divorce. The loving kindness that is taught in Buddhism is, it doesn't matter how people behave. It doesn't matter whether that person, I know that person or not, related to me or not. The fact that person want happiness, do not want suffering, therefore I should take care of that person, just as I take care of myself. I take care of myself not necessarily because I am very special person, professor or scientist or anything like that. The reason I take care of myself is I want happiness, do not want suffering.
So, you believe that everyone is born differently, right?
Exactly.
Some basic personality.
Exactly.
Some are born more emotionally sensitive.
Exactly.
Hence, more likely to have temper issues or anger issues.
Exactly.
Some people have a different personality type.
Exactly.
More calm.
Yeah.
So, are we saying that it is easier for some people
Yeah.
to surpass negative emotions? For
Yeah.
some, it is difficult, and some are born that way,
Yeah.
that they just cannot surpass negative emotions.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying is, yes, there are different emotions. For some practice will be easier, some will be difficult. But in Buddhism, it is said emotions of anybody is not in the basic nature of that person. However strong the negative emotion may be in that person, but it's not in the fundamental nature of that person. So that means it's temporary, adventitious. They are temporary, they are adventitious, they can be removed. Just like dust that is collected on a mirror. Okay? You can remove that dust and then it will shine out. So it's only a question of making effort. I'm not saying all are same, but it's only question of making effort. The more you, just as today you are very heavily stuck in that negative emotion, but the more you get habituated with positive emotions, you will get habituated with the positive emotions also. One really good news is there's nothing that will not become easy if you practice it. Nothing that will not become easy if you continuously practice it. So you can change. Yeah. There's so many stories to support that. Yeah. Yeah.
You just said husband, wife, and I love you, and it
Mm.
doesn't matter.
Mm.
We should love everybody.
Hmm.
So I'm wondering, when somebody is planning to get into a relationship and get married,
Hmm.
should somebody just go marry anybody, or should we seek compatibility? I mean,
No.
so how
That's-
should we approach marriage?
So although you should think bigger, but you will not reach big like that. So here, think globally, act locally applies. करना तो है हमने, सब ने वो बड़ा बड़ा करना है, ठीक है ना, लेकिन नहीं पहुंचेगा वहाँ, तो शुरुआत यहाँ से करो. You marry somebody and love really nicely, unconditional love. Start from there, then there's much better possibility for you to extend similar kind of love. It doesn't mean that you marry everybody, I'm not saying that, there's a different context. But in terms of your pure love, unalloyed with attachment, that should be extended to everybody. ठीक है ना? Yeah. Okay? Yeah. Yeah, him, yeah.
So in Tibet situation also,
Yeah.
kind of expanding into that.
Yeah.
You've had a past where you've had countries like China,
Yeah.
kind of taken your space and
Yeah.
kind of tried to destroy the way it operates.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of opportunity
Yeah.
for Tibetans to feel negative emotions,
Yeah.
kind of react a certain way.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that? Because it's kind of an ongoing thing, and it's kind of
There are two ways of doing it. One is the usual ordinary way, because they expelled us, they did all those bad things to us, we should also do, hijack the aeroplane, as much as possible, put an explosive in the Chinese embassy. That is the usual way. Will it solve the problem? Not only Tibetans, this has been happening many places. What did it bring?
It doesn't solve for it.
Huh?
There will still be some anger or.
No, it's a stupid peace of mind. Temporarily, if I kill you, if you are safe for my enemy, I kill you, then I think I had, killed my enemy. Then your brother will come to kill me. Your sister will come to kill me. And then from Buddhist viewpoint, the future lives, you will have to experience the negative consequences. So many things are there. So there will be endless cycle of violence. Okay? It's not easy to practice, but the best way to practice is, this is too big, really. Now one, like when we say Tibet is invited by China, where is China? Who are those people who invaded Tibet? It's not the majority of the Chinese. They are not the policy makers. It's primarily the leaders. The leaders will change, right? In China itself also, the Chinese leaders are mistreating their own people also. Their own Nobel Peace Prize winner died in prison. It's not only with Tibetans. When negative emotions are there, they do all the bad things to everybody who tries to challenge them. But is this the solution? Is this the right way? How long China will succeed by following that kind of path? It's only a question of time. It's only a question of time. You see. So that's why, look at Russian Revolution, look at French Revolution, so many revolutions. Most of these revolutions are revolutions through bloodshed. How much we have achieved through that, killing each other. Now His Holiness is therefore talking about a revolution of compassion, through compassion. We need to see everybody on this small blue planet, blue earth, as one family, you see. In the long run, even if, let us say, Tibet gets independence, Tibet and China are related to each other. They're the same border. So how can you keep on fighting each other? How long? If you today win something through violence, there's no solution. Temporary solution maybe. You're winning temporarily, not long term. And then next time I get opportunity, I'll rematch. So is this what you want to continue? It doesn't look good saying these big things from me, but people who have that vision, like His Holiness Dalai Lama, they consider everybody as, one family. And within one family also there are many troublemakers. So does that mean to say that even in your family, if there's a troublemaker, shoot him?
We were talking about anger as a contributor to a lot of internal problems and things like that. There are situations where we can easily say that when I got angry about something, it was not relevant.
Yeah.
And it's okay, I can basically deal with it and I can get it out of my system.
Yeah.
So I have reasons for that.
Yeah.
But there are situations when you get angry because of things which have happened over a period of time. So let's say, for example, I'm trying to teach something to someone. I teach it very nicely the first time. I do it again very nicely the second time. But still someone is failing at it. It happens for a long period of time. And then I really don't know the reason why I shouldn't be angry. How do you deal in such
I give you the example of the cotton. That person starts thinking you are cotton, so he continues to sit on it. So now on such occasion, as I said, you can be tough. Toughness has nothing to do with anger. Without being angry, you can be much tougher and much more reasonable, because without anger, if you become tough, your mind is still cool. Then you can say the right thing. If you get angry and say something, God knows what comes from your mouth. You will say many, many illogical, unreasonable things. And for whose, reason you have to suffer the consequences. Right?
And just a following question, even after being strong, being logical, you make a statement that, you know, this is my final attempt to try and teach something. Is it okay to say that I cannot go beyond this to teach something to someone?
No, this depends upon your determination. Many people have this problem, I know, especially business people, you know. Tough business competition where there is corruption and all those things. So here it depends upon your determination. And if you are somebody who is really outright determined good person, then you need to sever that tie. Enough is enough. मुझे पैसा नहीं, कुछ नहीं चाहिए. I'm a human being, I can survive. And then you leave that place. Only very few people can do that. That's the problem. क्या करूँ, मजबूरी है, नौकरी का सवाल है बोल के फिर हम लोग continuously you do the wrong thing. It's me determination नहीं. Okay, thank you. So short meditation, right?
Geshe, also I wanted to say that there's a lot of confusion around shamatha, vipassana, and we keep hearing someone is going for vipassana. There are different kinds of meditation.
Yeah, I will basically explain, you know, the physical postures, you can do all these postures later on. So shamat means one-pointed meditation. One-pointed meditation. That means not only in spiritual practice, whatever work you want to do, whatever job you want to accomplish, unless you are able to concentrate, you are not going to achieve anything, or you are not going to achieve much. Example that I can give it like the laser beam. If the beams from that laser get separated, scattered, it will not have the power to cut through steel. But when the beams are concentrated, it can easily cut through steel. That's the example. So concentration. If you have concentration, even whatever you do it for even short time, you will achieve much. Read just half page with full concentration. You'll really get it. Without concentration, हम लोग बोलते हैं ना रामायण पढ़ा पूरा फिर राम कौन है पता नहीं. This famous saying is there because of having no concentration. Number one, this general explanation. The main reason for concentration is there suffering in this world or not? Lot of suffering, right? In your life also, is everything okay? Is everything okay? Be honest with yourself, whoever you are. Not everything is okay. तो okay होना चाहिए हमको. Everything should be okay. Therefore, in order to have everything okay, you need to concentrate. ऐसे थोड़े हो जाएगा. Concentrate. ठीक है ना? So concentration is very important. Number two, when we say concentrate, we are talking about primarily concentrating on virtuous practices, positive practices. We must concentrate because these positive practices like loving kindness, compassion, they are so important. They should not be taken lightly. Cherish them. As you found a big lump of gold, just walking down to the Kotipalli Bazaar or somewhere, if you just found a lump of gold, आपका तुरंत concentration आ जाएगा. Then you will know where should I keep it, कहाँ रखना चाहिए, रात को क्या करना चाहिए, खिड़की ठीक से बंद है नहीं है, whether the window is closed, door is closed. Concentrate आ जाता अपना because you are seeing the value of it. So similarly, value love, value compassion, concentration will come. Thirdly, we are talking about developing all these positive emotions to help these countless sentient beings who are more or less overwhelmed by different problems and sufferings. So to help them solve many of these problems, how are you going to solve it without concentration? So these are the big ideas behind why should you concentrate, because your project is so important. But the real solution will not come just by concentrating on one object. That concentration should be achieved through investigation, analysis. So the second kind of meditation, which is called Vipassana means special insight, which means you must gain special insight about the way things are, and that gaining of special insight with the way things are possible not through one point of concentration but through analysis, through observation, through experiment, through investigation, finding things by yourself through using logic, reasoning. Right? So therefore these two things are very, very important. Right? So that is what Vipassana and what Shamatha is about. So you can use these two tools to do meditation on anything. Like with Shamatha, for example, you can do this Shamatha on your feeling, on your body, on your mind. What is the nature of mind? Studying and finding, analyzing. What is the nature of your feeling? What is your experience when you develop positive feeling? What is your experience when you develop negative feeling? Like that. So mindfulness, as we call it, is Vipassana meditation. Okay? So we do just short meditation, watching on your breath, which I am sure you all know how to do it. So just to come down, we do it. This meditation on breathing, in a way it can be very, very effective. In a way it is almost like a beginning, precursor to other meditations. But the good thing with this meditation of breathing is something that you have with you all the time. Unlike a statue which is outside of you. Breathing is something that you have. So therefore, and breathing is related to your life. If you breathe out, cannot breathe in, that's the end of your life. ठीक है ना? So the fact that you are able to breathe out and breathe in is saying that, look, you are lucky. I'm lucky. I'm still alive, right? Pran बोलते हैं ना हम लोग pran. Breathing is pran. It's your life. So you're dealing with your life. And then now scientifically they say breathing through the nostril is really related to the brain. It's the remote control to the brain, they say. So for your brain development also, watching your sensation in general and especially breathing is very, very important. Okay? So therefore we will do short meditation, watching the breathing, counting up to 10. Let us see, if you can't do it, then maybe 5 also. So which means when this one cycle of breathing out and breathing in is counted as 1. So we do it 5, 6, 7, 10, whatever you can do. Okay? Okay? So when yeah.
Only the out cycle?
Yeah, when you breathe in, then when you out, then this is counted as 1. And then breathe in and out, second, like that. Okay? So when you breathe, it looks like, I don't know, I'm not so sure. There seems to be two ways of doing it. One is you intentionally do that breathing, it's coming in, coming out. Another is not intentionally, but just watch the breathing in and out that you normally have. Right? Okay? So whichever is comfortable for you, you do that. And what is important is when you breathe out, as much as possible, it should be natural. Okay? Not trying to breathe very, very long out and then very, very deep inside. I don't know about that. Maybe natural. Okay? So for that, your right hand on the left and thumbs touch each other, form a triangle, and put it so that the thumbs reach at the level of your navel. Okay, that will straighten your back a little bit, but make sure that you don't become rigid. The purpose of meditation is for relaxation, not for rigidity. And then your two shoulders should be straight. It should not be lopsided on the right. If it is too much lopsided on the right, they say it produces anger. Or too much tilted towards the left produces attachment. Too much backward, arrogance. Arrogant people go like this, yeah. And then too much forward, sleepiness, laziness. Right? Okay. And then your tongue should gently touch the palate This will help you not to let your saliva fall if you do a little bit longer meditation, and it will also help you not to get thirsty, right? Things like that, okay? And then what? The backs should be straight, but as I said, not rigid. Okay, and then your mouth lips should be in a natural position. Your eyes should be a little bit gazing down. Many people think that your meditation is much better if you close your eye. But many Buddhist teachers, they say, don't close your eye completely. Leave it just in a normal position. Not try to see something specially, because if you do that, that will be distraction. Otherwise, what we are trying to do is you just let your eye gaze in a normal way. And while doing that, even if something comes within the purview of your eye, make sure that your mind doesn't chase that object. That's what we are trying to do. So with your eyes open, if you are able to do that, you are successful. Otherwise, people say you close your eye. Okay, in that case, meditation must be done only in the meditation hall, not when you are going in the market. Because you can't go in the market with your eyes closed, right? You can't mix with the crowd with your eyes closed. So your meditation should be there. Your concentration, awareness, mindfulness must be there. Even especially it must be there when you mix with the crowd, right? So that completely closing the eye, many people do that, but I'm a little bit skeptical about that. Because the reason is if you open your eye, then you see the object, mind get distracted. If that's the reason, then you should also close your ear, because if you don't close your ear, you can hear the sound, you see. So close everything. Close your mouth, everything, right? Okay, so we start. Okay, I'll start with this. Thank you. Namaskar.